9/11 workers are finally being offered a big pile of cash after years of fighting for it in and out of court. But is this money enough after what these workers have sacrificed? RT correspondent Anastasia Churkina, live from New York, has been following this story and joins us now. Anastasia, how much money and for how many people are we talking about here?
Well, Lauren, we're talking about thousands of first responders who have been struggling for years to get some sort of financial compensation for their medical bills because of illnesses they say they had gotten as a result of having to work at Ground Zero on the day of 9/11 and post-September 11th. And the money that we're speaking about, it's a settlement which is being offered to them, which could be up to $675.5 million. So if accepted, city officials are hoping that the about 10,000 lawsuits that have been filed by first responders might be dropped and they will settle for this money, because if they do, what will happen if the lawsuits, the 10,000 lawsuits, will be postponed or canceled, and so far they have been scheduled for May.
When is the final decision on this settlement supposed to be made?
Well, the first responders now have 90 days to make up their mind on whether or not they want this cash. And the way this is going to work is 95% of all of these people have to agree to the money, have to agree to accept the settlement and not continue on with the lawsuits. And we're talking about from several $1,000s to up to $1 million, depending on the specific cases that these people have.
Anastasia, more than $650 million does sound like a decent pile of cash. I mean, is there a catch here? Will there be more battles to come? Or is this money just going to be handed out to first responders if they agree to it?
Well, you know, Lauren, this whole ordeal could actually turn out to be not as easy as it might seem at first glance. The reason for this is that the first responders will have to make up their mind on agreeing or not agreeing on the settlement before actually knowing exactly how much money each one of them is going to get. So to just explain that, this is of course an exaggeration, but, you know, a cancer patient could end up with several $1,000s, and then someone who has much lesser consequences and not as deadly illnesses could end up with more money. So, you know, they won't know until they decide exactly how much money they're going to get. And the difficult part here is that they're still going to have to prove that they were at the World Trade Center on 9/11 and post 9/11, that they were working there. They will have to provide all of their medical bills and all of the information. So it's kind of like actually still being in a lawsuit. So for them, it's still going to be pretty difficult. So some are saying this could still turn into a pretty messy and confrontational battle for them.
It seems difficult to put a price tag too on these, you know, different terrible problems like cancer. I mean, how do you decide what is even allotted? But where will the money even come from?
Well, the money is basically going to come from a special entity which was set up by FEMA. FEMA gave this special company a $1 billion grant, and this money is supposed to come from that grant. But the catch here is that a lot of this money has already pretty much gone down the drain because of the years of legal battles that have continued. And another interesting fact here is that this company, which was set up to allocate the money, its premier goal is to actually prevent the city, the New York City, from actually having to battle these legal actions. So they're not really there for the first responders. They're more there to really help out New York City and Mayor Bloomberg.
And it's almost been an entire decade, too, since 9/11. So why has this fight for compensation been dragging this long? I mean, all of these fees could have been avoided if it had just been settled sooner.
You're absolutely right, Lauren. The thing is that city officials have really been denying to accept a direct link between these illnesses, cancer, and even deaths that first responders and their families had to deal with. They said there's no direct link between September 11th and them having to work there and their illnesses. But, you know, and you would have thought that hundreds of similar cases of people who worked in the same place getting the same illnesses would have rung a bell, but apparently it hasn't.
All right, well, Anastasia bringing us that story, which we've been following, everything that the 9/11 first responders have been fighting for in the decade that since 9/11 happened. We'll continue to follow it.